Okay, guys, welcome to week 2. I got little notes of what I want to say. Oh, yeah. Hello. I hope the first week went okay. It wasn't too confusing. I have all these ideas in my head, but to try to make them orderly in a way that those of you who I've never met in person, which is all of you, can understand is kind of challenging. So forgive me if you're like, what? I don't understand. Please email me, and if we can schedule a Zoom or come to the office hours, that will make a huge difference, I bet, and I can talk you through it, talk you off the ledge. So one of the first things I want to mention is that I just added this discussion post here. It's in the resources tab, I guess, module, whatever you want to call it. That's just my thing up there, right after the FAQ. And this is an open-ended discussion that you can share resources that you found. I think I said in the instructions there, like share, projects you're working on. I just put this picture because it was a picture of somebody's garden. One of the free pictures, it's not copyrighted, all that kind of stuff. Podcasts you love, local nurseries that you've frequented and enjoyed, great customer service, or even like Etsy shops where you found cool plants. Plants or projects that are exciting to you. So you can just reply and then just check it every once in a while. It's sadly we don't have the option to like tag someone. That would be handy, but I don't think it exists. That's something perhaps to suggest to the Canvas techs. That would be cool. Okay, so that exists. Number 2, add your profile pictures. So right there's me. It looks like me. So if you have just a little thing that looks like, the crime scene outline of the victim, please upload a picture. It doesn't have to be a picture of you, although that is much preferred. Because this online medium, we got to really put a little effort out to make it clear that we are real people interacting with each other. So having a picture helps us, myself, and the other students in class recognize who you are as a real person. So please do so. And for those of you that don't have a profile picture, I sent an email through Canvas messaging with the Canvas instructions for how to do that. So you got no excuses. Do it. Number 3, an overview of the module. Here we go. I had this all set up. Look at that, it's working. Okay, so for week 2, we're going to talk about systematics as a discipline. It's really, plant taxonomy kind of taken to the nth degree, how we organize all these guys. Reproductive anatomy, so like flowers and other reproductive parts. Not so much about the gametes of ferns and the gametophyte and sporophyte. In fact, I instruct you to just kind of like ignore that stuff or gloss over it because we don't need to know it. But if you're just one of those people that's thirsty for more knowledge, have at it. It's kind of fascinating stuff. And then we start our journey through the evolutionary perspective of plants, which I call the plant family tree. It culminates in a project where I will give you, or you can make like a tree diagram. I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to work out, but I've seen these and I think it's kind of a useful graphic. So on that tree, we would start out with the ferns at the bottom, and then we move up with the branches representing the different groups and all that sort of thing. And we start with the ferns because they are the most evolutionarily advanced. It's one way to look at it. Primitive could be another phrase, but really they've been around the longest. So we start with ferns. Even though we don't get to ferns as far as our Plant California Alliance plant list for quite a while, in an evolutionary perspective, which I think is a really helpful way to learn to understand these plants, we start with the ferns because they're the earliest on our list. So we got a little bit of text about plant systematics. And I think there's a video in there about taxonomy and how it works, how ordering living things into systems was first devised, even by Linnaeus, and it's kind of long, I think I said, but I thought it was a really useful video and kind of handy and sort of fun. And then a fairly short, this is like 2 or 3 minutes, video of one of my favorite plant systematists, which I should have like a big N for nerd on my forehead, because I have a favorite plant systematist. But Michael Simpson, who wrote the book, Plant Systematics, which is a wonderful book. I mean, again, like I love it. And I've been corresponding with him every once in a while, and he like sends me like links to all these resources. He's just such a wonderfully sharing person. So it talks a little bit about their program at San Diego State University, San Diego, whichever one it is, SDSU, San Diego State University, yeah. And then its application in real time, where they found a plant that was thought to be extinct. A really cool thing from Cambridge, the Virtual Evolutionary Trail, which helps us put these plants in their evolutionary perspective, and then a little Quizling just to cover some of that stuff. It's just a quick little thing. Also, we got names. I think we already covered names, so you should know that binomial nomenclature already, but it's expected at this point. They do mention it again, that you understand that. An introduction to plant reproduction, and then fern and gymnosperm reproduction, because that's different than angiosperm reproduction, which gets complicated and super cool. And then just a little quiz to make sure that you're paying attention and going through this stuff. It's never ever meant to be tricky or punishing or anything. It's really just to keep your brain juices flowing and give a little bit of application before there's more content to just kind of soak in. Gross anatomy, so it's not, it's not really actually gross at all. It's kind of lovely, but it means major structural stuff, not like fine bits and pieces, and understanding really small variations. So gross anatomy of flowers continued, and then due on Sunday, by the way, the due dates are all listed there, tells you the points also, is a flower dissection activity. And this should be pretty straightforward, but it does require you to go find a flower. Now it is winter-ish here in Southern California, but there's a ton of stuff blooming around my yard, but I'm not going to give you my address, but I'm like 99% sure that if you go looking around, you're going to find some flowers. You might find some flowers that are like wickedly complicated. I would say if you can figure out what the plant is, if you have like Plant Snap or iNaturalist and you want to try to figure out what the plant is, that would be a starting point. And then, the wonderful world of Google, poinsettia flower dissection. See what you can find. I bet there's probably something out there. So that will help you if you need a little support. You can always email me. And then here we go with our plant family tree, talking about the ferns. And then some information from, again, this is a resource from my favorite plant systematist, who hooked me up with the YouTube channel for the Jepson Herbarium, which is fantastic. There's so many cool plant families that they go over. So I'll be dropping some of those in as they apply to us. So this is specifically polysticum or something. It's not how you pronounce it. I don't really care. I kind of mostly know how to spell it. And I can't remember if that's on our list or not. But anyway, it's how you identify ferns, and then some basic general kind of fern anatomy stuff, which is helpful to us. So we have I have this little tab here to meet the plants. So the plants that will be covered for this week are numbers 6 through 20. Last week I did 1 through 5. So we don't have a tab in there yet for y'all's plant presentations, but that would be a link in there that I will put in there as soon as I have something to put in there. And then I just sent out an email about this, about the discussion post here for getting to know the plants. So this is where you interact with that content rather than just like, people make these plant profile videos and nobody knows if you looked at it or not. The idea is you would look at it because it helps you learn these plants, which is kind of a big task to memorize 200 different plants, especially in a remote environment. So this is where you then talk about those plants that you saw your colleagues or your professor posting about. You can talk about, oh yeah, I've got pictures of that. It's in my backyard. Or, oh, there was one, in the house where I grew up in. Or my grandma uses the leaves to make tea, or, whatever it is. Just so that we help create a relationship with these plants, okay? Anyway, and then I would also put in here the content that gets delivered from the students that did it. So as an example, is it going to work? Of course, it's slow. There we go. So for this week, right now, we have Kelly, Michael, Robin, and Wes. I don't know why you put your name as Benjamin in here. If you want us to call you Wes, you can also put Wes in here. That's fine. Or, whatever. You just write the name as a reminder. I just put for DB, please use your first and last name because I don't have everybody's names memorized, and I need to then go assign you the dates for when you signed up. And it looks like so far I will be doing plants 9 through 11, which is not a big deal. 3 is a lot easier than the 5 I signed myself up for last week. But so you guys, those guys, will be doing their plant profiles so that we have those plants available to us to learn about for week 2. So these guys are researching their plants during week 1, and then they will be available in the module for week 2. So at the end of week 2, you're expected to know all of these plants. Okay, they're down here as week 1 because this is when they need to be working on that. Does that make sense? I hope so. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of my outline here, but just to know then that all of you folks will be doing the same thing, doing your plant profiles. These will be due by Thursday, plant profiles, and then the plant presentations of those profiles is due by Sunday night. You guys get a little bit extra time because it was the first week. And what else? Oh yeah, and then all of this stuff is in the module, but the plant list right here. So plant 6, this is an awesome plant, by the way. This one I have in my front yard. This one is in my mom's house, and anyway, I get super excited looking at them, making that connection between the name and the actual tree. Ginkgo, if you've ever had female ginkgo trees in front of your yard, you'll probably have a funny story to share. Up through 20. So these are the ones that we're going to be learning about week 2. And then the folks who are doing their research during week 2 will be covering these through 35. Anyway, whatever. I just want to make sure that I have all this stuff. Yep, module overview, plant profiles and presentations from week 1 and week 2. So y'all are working on yours this week. You guys will be working on them next week. And week 2, we will be learning these plants, the rest of us, to memorize because we do a few each week and it's not such a big deal. Okay, I hope that helps. As always, please come to my office hours via Zoom. It's all in the module, how to do that. Or send me an email if you're not really even sure how to use the Canvas modules. Send me an email, send me a Canvas message. That's the best way to do it. But please be in communication. It makes everything a little better. Hope you have a good week.